Democratic congressman who represents California's Silicon Valley, Khanna. Congressman, we heard earlier, because we're still waiting to hear more granularity, but we had heard earlier from a campaign official from the Harris campaign that, quote, as a capitalist, she understands the limitations of government and has always sought to take good ideas from wherever they come. And she also wants to work in partnership with the private sector and entrepreneurs. Why hasn't she said that early on and so far yet?
Well, she should emphasize that, and that's been the Biden-Harris policy. But what she really needs to do in this speech is talk about how we're going to become a manufacturing superpower, how we're going to reduce our trade deficits, talk about the manufacturing that she and President Biden brought back with battery plants, with electric vehicles, with solar manufacturing, but talk about now financing steel manufacturing in this country, aluminum manufacturing. What are we going to do about Stellantis shipping jobs to Canada and to Mexico, and how we're going to build the auto industry? She really needs to drive home those themes.
What does she need to say, in your opinion, to move the swing voters or the undecideds out there?
She needs to say that they've gotten a raw deal for 40 years, that the establishment has shipped their jobs to China, to Mexico, that we hollowed out this country's industrial capacity.
A raw deal over 40 years, during which Democrats, some of that time, were in charge, a Democratic president.
Yeah, I would say both parties were to blame. I mean, they were both parties that came in and basically went to the corporations and said, we want cheap consumer goods and we want shareholder profits, and we're not going to have steel in America. We're not going to have aluminum in America. We're going to let our auto industry go away. And then she needs to say President Biden started to rebuild manufacturing. She's going to double down on that you can't just rebuild manufacturing simply with tariffs. Yes, we're going to have tariffs, but you also need financing of new factories. You also need an investment in the workforce, that this is how you're going to build the modern steel industry, modern aluminum industry, and that she has a better vision than President Trump, and contrast it with Trump on who's actually going to get the job done.
She spent quite a bit of time in California, certainly as a senator and, of course, as a San Francisco district attorney. You know her. Give me an example of where she's been pro-business.
Well, you know, California has Silicon Valley, and Silicon Valley has driven the growth, the stock market, and a lot of the economy for the last 20 years. And she has a good relationship with many of those technology leaders. And I think even President Trump would acknowledge that we want to have AI, we want to have innovation, we want to have these great entrepreneurs in America helping us build industry here. And she should talk about Silicon Valley and what we're contributing to the nation and world.
Well, Silicon Valley has been basically a fire hose of job creation on so many levels, and that's your bailiwick. Silicon Valley big business people, billionaires, are starting to take sides, and we can put up who's on which side. I mean, on the Harris side, you've got Reid Hoffman, Reed Hastings, Sheryl Sandberg. I can't even see these. These are so tiny. Ron Conway. I mean, the list goes on. Vinod Khosla. And then on the Trump side, you have David Sachs, Chamath Palihapitiya, Elon Musk, et cetera. I mean, Joe Lonsdale. Where's the money going? I mean, who's raising more in Silicon Valley specifically?
Well, I'm honored that all the people you mentioned support me, but I think what they want to see is policies that are common sense. They want to see us champion building in America. They want to see that we unleash our innovation potential across the country. And I don't think it's about money. I'm opposed to having super PACs and big money in politics, but both sides should be championing entrepreneurship, innovation, and let this election be about who's going to build manufacturing and innovation across America better. And I do think that we need more specificity from Vice President Harris on that, and I'm hoping we'll see that today.
Let's talk about specificity on crypto. The crypto vote is fast becoming an important one. You have taken the lead in having all kinds of discussions in Washington, D.C., trying to get the attention of Democrats to basically say, get on board with this. It's a thing. We now have all kinds of ETFs where people can get in on crypto and Bitcoin and Ether as well. Where does she stand? Do you have any insight as to whether she is supportive specifically of taking off the leash on crypto and letting it run, or a more restrictive focus?
I was encouraged by her latest statement saying that she sees a place for digital assets in the United States. Look, you can't be against Bitcoin or crypto. It's like saying I'm against the iPhone or I'm against the laptop. It's just a technology. Yes, we need smart regulation, but it's a modern store of value and a modern payment system. It's a modern version of gold for a lot of young people. And I want those jobs. I want that industry here. And I want America to lead in financial innovation. And this should be part of the broad spectrum of financial innovation.
What about salt? We talk about taxes. Under President Trump and the GOP, they eliminated the state and local tax deduction for what turned out to be mostly blue states like New York and California. A lot of people perceive that as the Republicans taking aim at blue states, almost punishing them. Would she bring that back? Donald Trump's talked about suddenly reversing and flip-flopping and saying he would bring it back.
She absolutely would. I'm glad to see that President Trump flip-flopped on that issue because it penalizes middle-class, upper-middle-class folks in a lot of these states like New York and California. Now, I'm for a cap. If you're making millions of dollars, then there should be a limit to what you can deduct on SALT taxes. But that limit can't be $10,000, which is what the Trump tax plan did, and it actually hiked middle-class taxes for a lot of people in my state of California.
Okay, so just to be clear, she is for bringing back the SALT.
She's for bringing back the SALT deduction at some limit. I mean, like I said, it's not unlimited, but much more than $10,000.
Congressman, good to see you. Thank you very much. And we hope to have you back between now and the election. A lot is developing in these next couple of weeks.
I always enjoy it. Thank you for having me.